excellent reminder, because so often we think we are here, but it is really only consciousness, chitta, mental factors, cetasikas, and physical phenomena, rupa, and that we forget. But that is what is really true. And all the other thoughts are more like conventional realities. And there was something else at the end. I was struck very much by this. I noticed this only when I was typing my report, not before. It was about carefully considering. And one person after the other had very good observations, like it is conditioned and it is very necessary, but nobody can force it. But it is carefully considering the truth, and one person after the other answers this, and that I was very impressed by this. Now there is another thing. There were Tiny Tom, and Kuan had questions at the end, but Tiny Tom did not have opportunity to ask. So maybe it's a good thing if she can ask now.
So Panya knows what is meant by developing or development of understanding. Just in a moment, from moment to moment right now, each moment. It develops the understanding when we talk about the absolute truth, and we can understand that we are talking about the story the way it is. But when it appears, nothing else can appear together like that which experiences. It means that nothing at that very moment, only that which experiences. So now there are that which experiences all the time, but there are so many things appear. So from hearing and considering, one can see that that which experiences is not that which is around. But whatever appears around cannot appear without that which experiences it. So it's a long way to understand it as developing the understanding by conditioning and considering. No one can do. And this is the most difficult, because just as it is right now depends on understanding itself, how much it understands, firmer and firmer, and more confidence on the truth that what level of understanding is there. And without the intellectual understanding, it's impossible for, and the clear and clear can appear, because it needs the right conditions, which is the words of the Buddha. Each word, no matter it is in Vinaya, Tipitaka, Sutanta, or Abhidhamma, each word pointed to this moment. Even right now, what appears, see, if Chitta does not experience that which appears now, cannot appear. Even a glimpse or a moment of what appears are so many things around. So it's a way to eliminate the idea of self by that which understands only, not by anything else.
Tiny Tom, are you there? It's because Nina asked Tiny Tom if she would you like to ask your question from last week, which we didn't have time to ask? Would you like to ask it to Ajahn? I think your question was about, I think you said you were asking about whether considering is to direct the consciousness towards the object. Is that correct?
Oh, hi, Sarah.
Hi there.
Yeah, I'm here. But
Hi, Nita.
it was not me who raised the question last time. I didn't have a chance to join last time.
Okay, I think it was one of your group, perhaps.
I think it was Hang who asked the question for Keung.
Oh, for Gurng. I think that was one. And then there was another question that it was written on the written chat and it had Tiny Tom's name. And the question was, can I think considering is to direct the consciousness towards the object to be considered?
I think that was not Tiny Tom, but it was a lady from Australia. And her name is similar to Tiny Tom.
I see.
Yes. I don't know if she's here now. Let me check. It's Miss Tam Tang or something like that.
I see.
Yeah.
So many Tums.
Yes, yes.
A lot of cheetah.
A lot of different cheetahs.
Yeah.
Câu hỏi gì?
Sarah nhầm lần chứ.
Tôi để lên.
Anyway, I think the point was that the question was about directing the consciousness towards the object. But as soon as there is the idea of directing, it is the idea of I can do, I can make it happen. It's not the understanding naturally of what appears now.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
You said, can everyone stop seeing now? I understand it does not mean that when I don't want to see, I can close my eyes. It seems that I can control. It means we can stop the function of seeing. Is that right?
I explained to Ajahn. Ajahn, could you hear his question? This is from Ewan, Nam's younger brother, his 10-year-old brother in Dalat. And he is asking about, do you remember him?
And yes. And what about when you have no intention to close your eyes? Can it close itself? Can the eye close without intention? The intention is not a self, but the moment of it intending to close is there. Otherwise, no condition for the eye to close. No matter you want to open or close, without intention, can it close and open itself? By itself? So what condition the closing and the opening of the eyes? Not you, but what? Is intention you? Or it's a reality which intends to have such and such moment? By conditions. That's why intention or cetana, cetasika arise with each moment of citta, performing its function. Sahat sata, arising together all the time, anytime, and nanasnika kamma pacaya. See, even cetana is different by cetasikas and conditions for its arising.
Nam, can you answer Ajahn's questions and then you can explain afterwards to Nguyen because the English is quite difficult for him.
So I think that when there is an intention to close the eyes, it's the different reality, and it conditions us to close the eye, not anyone who can close eyes on a self. Do I understand that right?
What are there in the world? See, it's your own understanding. What are there in the world now? What are there?
There Chitta, Chittasika, and Rupa.
So you know what condition what?
Rupa condition for Chitta.
While one is fast asleep, can there be the moment of opening and closing the eyes? So there are so many chetana. It can be kusala chetana or akusala chetana or vipaka chetana or kiriya chetana because it arises with each chitta performing its function that no other reality can perform. That's why no I who can do anything at all.
So Nguyen, now, can you decide what to hear, or can you stop hearing now whenever you choose?
No, we can't.
Why not?
Because there's just a Chitta. There's no self at all.
Okay. So if there are conditions for hearing, hearing will arise. If there are no conditions for hearing, there will be no hearing. So whatever arises in life has to arise by different conditions, different causes, not by Nguyen, not by Nam, not by anyone, just by different conditions at this moment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you decide now to be angry? Or can you decide now to be happy? Or does the anger and the happiness just depend on different conditions as well?
It just depends on the condition.
Just conditions. Like if I say, Nguyen, be angry now, is it possible? No. Because if no conditions to be angry now, no one can make it arise. It has to have the right conditions. So it's the same for every reality in life. Whatever arises has to arise by different conditions. And this is what is meant by anatta, not self.
Thank you very much.
Good question, Nguyen.
Sarah, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Going back to last time, I think you put a question which wasn't we didn't get around to discuss, and that's what's the importance of knowing the difference between Nama and Rupa. It seems that we can have some understanding of the Chetasikas, for example, those mental factors accompanying Nama, such as anger and pleasant or unpleasant feeling, happiness and sadness, but the citta, the chief in experiencing an object like seeing or hearing, are very difficult to understand, if not, well, they're not understood. What is the importance of understanding citta, nama, as opposed to rupa, and why is it so difficult to understand the citta rather than the cetasika, the chief in experiencing, like seeing, rather than anger? Because we can have some understanding of these mental factors, can't we?
Jan, can you hear Alan's question? This is Alan in England.
Yes.
Could you hear his question?
Again, please, the point of the question.
What is the importance of understanding the difference between nama and rupa?
Yes, you talk about the nama, that which experiences, since the object which is experienced appear, but that which experiences it does not appear. Is that right?
Yes.
And I think you were also saying that you think that understanding the cetasikas is easier, but not understanding the citta. Was that your point?
Yes, it seems to be that it's easier to understand these mental factors, the cetasikas, such as anger and attachment and happiness, etc. But seeing is very difficult to understand. Hearing, consciousness is very difficult to understand.
Yes, because can you understand the indifferent feeling?
No. No, that's difficult as well.
Would you like to understand some? Not by conditions. Because when you talk about citta as that is the chief of experiencing, it means that because it arises from birth to death, and whatever it is the chief of experience, that object can appear in daily life. But wrong understanding and ignorance is there all the time to take it for something. But whenever anger arises, it's me, exactly the same. And you think that it's different from daily life, because daily life, there's not always each moment anger. But when something strange or different is there, different from usual, seeing, hearing, and smelling, and the object which appears, it appears as something, but it's me. See, if it does not appear and it's only citta, the experiencing, and that which is experienced, very common in daily life, no doubt about it, but no understanding at all, as not self. So, what are the 5 upadana khanda? 5, not just one.
Yes.
So, sanya khanda, vedana khanda, sankhara khanda, and vijnana khanda, they are all there together. But what appears now? What about sanya, that which remembers our marks? Does it appear now? Not like anger, see? That which is not daily and which appears is there with still the wrong understanding of it's me. So no matter what, it's exactly the same. That which cannot be anyone, it does not belong to anyone. It is conditioned to arise and fall away, no matter that which experience or that which feel or remembers. See, not at anyone's control to have this and that. What is doubt? It's still me. Doubt about what? By conditions. Without condition, there's no doubt about the difference between why when dosa arise and it can be object, not object of understanding as not self, the same as other thing which now experiences. And why it's not like seeing and hearing? Because as one opens his eyes, what is there? What is seen? What is there? That which is heard by conditions. But where is the eye? who cling to it as me, the sanya, the vedana, and the sankhara, and the vijnana khanda. That's why people just pay attention to the object, just want to have clear appearance of that which appears as not self. But what about that which sees, that which remembers, and that which feels? They don't mind at all. It's there now. The I is the moment of wanting, trying, concentrating, and wishing to experience the characteristic of reality, but no understanding of what, which makes it condition it to appear, without seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Nothing can appear through the five doorways. That's why from hearing, there are conditions for cetasika to begin to attend to the characteristic which appears, which used to be I all the time. See, the object is different from time to time, no matter sound or sight, but that which experiences just experience from birth to death. So it is hidden because there is attention to the object which appears, not to that which experiences. That's why no one can understand that characteristic which now is experiencing whatever appears, but the attention is to that which is the object, which is seen or heard. That's why there is doubt, there is ignorance of the five khandas. No matter when hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, we don't take the outer object like smell and whatever as me, but the smell here is taken for I. So there are so many doubts and wanting to understand this and that because of
I've lost that. Sarah, have you lost that?
Yes, we lost it.
Yeah.
Phone is
There was a
gone.
sutta about being occupied. I can't remember exactly where it is or what it said, but it said that basically that when we're occupied with something, that consciousness grows and you go on and there's the round of rebirth. And when you're not occupied, the opposite. And maybe that's kind of what she was trying to, that she was explaining there, that we are occupied with the object of thinking and the object of seeing, but not the reality which sees and the reality which thinks, or the nature of thinking. So we're occupied by the object of thinking, but not the nature of the reality which thinks. That's how I interpret that sutta. Do you remember the sutta I meant?
I don't remember. I'm not sure which sutta. I mean, it may be the one I'm thinking of, but I think her main point is that when it's wanting to know, trying to catch, trying to understand sanya or another reality, it's not understanding because it's still wanting or trying.
Yeah.
And this is the trap. And back to your original question about the importance of understanding the distinction between namas, the realities which experience, and rupas, those realities that don't experience anything. If there's no understanding now of the distinction between seeing and what is seen, it will definitely be the idea of I see, I hear, and it will be something that is seen. So it's only by understanding those realities which experience and those which don't experience anything that there can begin to be the understanding of those realities as not self, not I see, I hear, not something that is seen or heard. And if we think that it's easier to understand this and that, if we think it's easier to understand cetasikas rather than citas such as seeing or hearing, it's just that thinking or being occupied rather than just understanding what appears now. Because seeing appears now, but sanya or phassa don't appear now. So just understand what appears now naturally rather than thinking this one is easier or that one is more difficult. Are you there again now, Ajahn?
Yes.
We lost your connection. Please carry on if you would like to.
Yes, but I'm here now.
Good.
I'm here in my room, and you are there.
We think we're in our rooms, but it's just the thinking. No thinking about the room. No room at all.
Yeah. Don't you want to understand the idea of this room or that room, Alan? Or you are interested in anger or dosa still?
Any reality. Yes, I can understand that if there's no thinking, there cannot be room, because that's an idea from reality. No thinking, no room. I can understand that intellectually, because we're paying attention to the object of thinking and not. It's just a reality which arises. So when there's awareness of hardness, it's just hardness. It's not a room. So if there is the idea, if there is the idea of I am somewhere, then there's no understanding of the reality, because we're in the world of concepts.
So reality does not appear to understanding because there is still the idea of room and everything. See? But
yes,
when it appears as just that which experiences, no room, nowhere, no eye, no nose, no face, nothing, only that. See?
Yes.
Otherwise, it's always the idea of I am sitting here.
Yes.
And then about that which now experiences, see?
Yes.
But the experiencing does not appear well, because it appears well only to the level of panya that can experience it well, as nothing else with it at all. And just the word nothing else with it, see, only that which appears well.
Just one reality.
Yes.
So no place, no person, no thing, just a characteristic of reality.
And how can that be? Because now everything appears with the seeing or eye.
It can only be by conditions that when it arises,
right.
It performs its function.
Right. That's the way to eliminate the strong clinging to the idea of self. That it. Know what makes it to arise, but only the right conditions just for that reality at that moment only. By conditions.
Yes. So despite the fact that we have mostly, every second or every split second we have attachment to these realities, attachment to the idea of self, despite that, even though that we have that, understanding can work its way because we listen, so there are conditions for understanding to arise, because it's we must have attachment at each split second.
That's why the understanding of moment when asava arising is so clear that nothing can be done. For example, seeing arises and falls away, sampatichana follows, arises and fall away, and santirina and votapana. And asava is there. Who can know? Now, at this moment of seeing, only seeing appears, but what about the citta before seeing and after seeing? There's attachment to the senses object, to what is heard, or the ditti, or the pawa, or avijja already there. See, that's why this is the way not to underestimate the understanding of the Buddha's word. It takes time because it's so very deep and subtle to really understand that this moment is the moment of experiencing, so that what appears is the object of that reality which experiences it only. That's all, and gone. Very fast, very rapidly, beyond expectation, how fast it is. So everything appears at once, but as soon as one closes the eyes or the eye is closed, nothing can appear as a house or window or tree anymore. As soon as that, see, so only that which can impinge on the conditioned moment of seeing, just very short, and followed by asava, instantly. That's why it takes quite a long, long time to letting go the idea of self who can do. And the developing of understanding from the Sankhara Khanda. No one can perform the function of any Sankhara Khanda at all. They are now arising and falling, performing the function already each moment. Just learn to understand the characteristic which appears as it is. What appears is only that which impinged on the eye. Already gone, see? And since it's so true, it can be object of understanding. And that is meant by Ariya Satya Dhamma. The Satya of Dhamma, which condition the very noble truth to be known by highly developed panya, begin from now. And now, every time when there is hearing and understanding, it develops. Not by any, but by Sankhara Khanda, arising together with each citta. And there are so many cittas before there can be the understanding of what is there, because all that can be the object of seeing. But the conventional thinking about this and that is not the object of seeing. But they're seeing all the time, and other cittas follows in between, arising and falling. So life is only Viti Citta and Viti Mutta Citta. From life to life, and nothing is left because it's gone. Whatever is seen is completely gone, unknowing all the time, until panya begins to develop from hearing and understanding each word, just the same word, but more understanding, more confidence on the truth of it. And that is panya, which develops. It's not anyone at all. And life is easy because whatever appears, it depends on conditions for right understanding to understand it little by little.
So what eradicates attachment? Because attachment is
right
conditioned.
Understanding. Pardon?
Yeah, so attachment is conditioned. Nobody can control the arising of attachment because it's conditioned reality. So how can attachment be eliminated? What eliminates attachment? Is it the experiencing of nibbana that eliminates attachment, or is it the understanding itself?
And just the understanding that no one can make it arise. See, even that, when there is more and more understanding, more confidence, now there are seeing and many things appear. Who makes it? No one at all. While we are talking, there's sound, and also there's that which is seen. No one makes it arise, that which is seen now, but it's there all the time. And there is hearing and speaking and seeing all the time, but they are different. If there is no understanding of the differences of realities, they are together. So who can know that they are only one reality arising together, performing its own function, and then falls away immediately, instantly, all the time. That's why we learn about what are they. When it's not self, it is Citta, the chief of experiencing. So whatever is seen is heard. Only Citta which experience clearly the characteristic of object as it is only, but no understanding, because Citta cannot understand. Whenever it arises, it experiences, even right now, from birth to death, non-stop, from moment to moment, not the same one at all, different ones all the time, from time to time, eons and eons ago. But ignorance is there, and clinging follows altogether with ignorance, taking it for something from life to life, even right now, even now. So the words of the Buddha needs to developing the understanding of the truth of its characteristic, as no one makes it right at all. It's there already, no matter what. That's why what can be understood and must be that which has a reason and appears as it is. Actually, it's conditioned to arise, and as soon as it has its function performed, it's gone. Seeing things, that's all. Thinking things, that's all. Like arises and disappears. No one knows about the arising and the falling away until hearing the teachings, the words of the Buddha about the absolute truth of whatever appears now. No one can make it at all. So thinking is not seeing. It's not right understanding. And wanting is not detachment. But there are conditions for each reality to arise, not only one condition. Many, many conditions. That's why he taught us to understand the truth of seeing, just a moment, conditioned by that which impinges on the eye, so that must be the eye, and the object which impinges on it, ayatana. What are there? Citta and Cittasika as manayatana and dhammayatana. That's all. And Rupa is there as object, so rupayatana. So we understand each moment as very temporary, appearing and disappearing. No one knows until Buddha enlightened the truth. And each word from his enlightenment conditioned the understanding which cannot arise by itself, but by the right word and right considering to understand that it's so true, but it does not appear as it is yet, because right understanding is so very weak in the beginning. But it develops each moment. See, tomorrow it's more than today. A little bit. Unseen, unknown, but each Cetasika performs its function.
Thank you, Ajahn.
And one can see that how slowly it develops. At this moment of seeing, it's something like yesterday and many days ago, and tomorrow will be like this. But the understanding from hearing and considering just begin very, very, very little. But it's there, and it can develop from understanding each moment better than previous ones, a little bit all the time.
Can I ask something?
Yes, please.
It is, how can, I don't know, I'm not really awake yet, but I'm trying to give it the right words, because Buddha also said something.
In Holland, early morning, yes, Ajahn. Yes. Carry on, Carmen.
Because what is can you say something about fatalism as well? Because also, as far as I understand, Buddha warned us about fatalism. Because if we think about conditioning, everything is conditioning the other reality to appear, or the way we experience it. And how is the relation with fatalism? And because when I was staying in the temple, I had a lot of conversations with the people there. And everybody has different opinions about it. Because some say also, yeah, but there is a way out. We have to put effort in it. But that's also conditioned. So is my question a little bit clear?
Could you understand her question, Ajahn?
How, right? How can, see? But what is that? Instead of thinking of how can I, but what is I or what is there at the moment of thinking? Without the reality which thinks, can there be I think? And thinking is not seeing, but it can experience different objects. That's why, in short, or in summary, or in truth, there are two different types or kinds of reality that arises but cannot experience, like sound and smell, heat and cold. But without the other reality, which is conditioned, no one can make it arise. Only it's conditioned. It's conditioned by, for example, seeing cannot arise. There cannot be seeing without the eye sense or the eye base or that which can impinge on it. And there is also condition, not now, but far away in the past. Dhamma, intention is there. But we don't know anything at all. Even intention, what is it? Is it real? Is there intention in the world, in life? It is, but where is now? See, consider what is there now will bring about the understanding of that which is uncontrollable. Even one wants to be kind without attachment, but kindness is different from the moment of clinging to it. See, there are so many, every different ones arising and falling away without understanding. It's gone, but memory still think that it's there. For example, what are those happening yesterday, now? Never be the same, nothing at all. So just a moment when it arises is conditioned to appear and then disappear before anyone can know at all. From moment to moment, it's hidden. The truth is hidden. That why changes, nothing stays. Like when we go out, different kind of object which is seen, and even right now, different sound is heard from time to time. What condition that? Without that which can experience, which can hear, there's no idea about the sound, whether the meaning of it. So the tree cannot hear. It cannot hear, and it cannot think. It can do anything. So there are two different kinds of reality, that which cannot experience and that which experience. They are there by conditions. When you know the conditions for each to arise, you know that it's beyond control, so it's no one. Because thinking is thinking, seeing is hearing, see? Like is like, dislike is dislike. They are all realities. Does not belong to anyone, and they are gone. And their conditions for their arising in the future, or even today, or yesterday, or in the evening, see? Beyond control. This is the point to begin to understand that actually what appears is not under anyone's control, because actually it does not always appear. It's gone from moment to moment unknowingly. There's no voice, no sound, and then it's there, and then it's gone. Where does it go? When we use the word completely gone. It means never to return. From moment to moment, from life to life. So where's I? Beginning with no I, no permanent thing at all. But since it's not known, when it arises, but it's there already, and it's gone already, the arising and falling away of reality does not appear. That's why it brings about the idea of something permanent, even shortly, that it's there. But actually, it cannot be there. As soon as it arises as that which remember, it marks and remember and then completely gone. Never to return. But there are conditions from other moment to arise and follow the same object and the idea, thinking about it. And this is life. Without these moments, can there be life? No experiencing, nothing appear.
So Carmen, when we ask, how can I resolve this issue? It's like there is forgetting about this moment. So just the thinking now at this moment is conditioned. It's not I who can resolve any issue. And if we think about fatalism, usually it's the idea of what will happen to me. It's like nothing can be done, but it's not the understanding now of seeing, which is conditioned, hearing, which is conditioned, that which is seen, which is conditioned. So no self that to be fatalistic or anything or to be resolved, because there are just different dhammas at this moment.
And if I, of course, I am not saying it when I was in Thailand, I, of course, didn't say it this beautiful. But when I told it to other people there, and they say, but there is a way out, you know, you can, Buddha is teaching his Dhamma to get us out of the suffering. And so they thought I was pretty fatalistic about my opinion, and that I was more or less saying that the path is walking itself. And they say, no, you can put effort into it. So, you know, that made me consider and contemplate a little bit about it. How much can I, you know, I'm sitting here now, you know, I got myself out of my bed.
Even the idea of getting me out of suffering, or I can make an effort, it's all ideas of I, it's not understanding of reality. So we may hear these ideas and then there are conditions for doubt, but even doubt is conditioned and falls away instantly.
Sarah?
Yeah. Hi, Sarah.
Sarah, can I say something here? This aspect of fatalism as opposed to conditioned reality, I think they're very easily confused. Oh dear me, I'm sorry, there's a neighbour, they've got one of those machines going on. They're very easily confused. So when we talk about fatalism, we mean that something, it's even when I start to explain it, it's not an easy concept. How the misunderstanding can develop. It's, as Sarah is intimating, that's a lot to do with this strong idea of I. When there is a strong idea of I and there's no understanding, it's easy then to indicate to somebody, or it's easy for people to misunderstand the Dhamma and think, oh, this is just fatalism. Conditioned Dhammas are very different from fatalism, but they're easily confused and easily misunderstood. With the conditioned nature of Dhamma, is very easily can be very easily confused with fatalism. That is not fatalism. Conditioned Dhamma, or the way reality is not fatalism. But if there's not a careful consideration of the Dhamma and of realities as they appear, then there will be the great potential for this misunderstanding and call that fatalism. I don't know if that makes any sense, but perhaps, Jonathan, could you say a few words to this? I'd be interested to hear what you say.
Thanks, Well, I would like to, everyone has a different idea of what fatalism means. So I would like to ask Carmen what she understands by fatalism, please.
What they meant with fatalism at that time was that it is like we don't have control. Of course, we know, but in a way, there is they cannot. Actually, they are living in the temple with the idea, I'm on my way out. You know, I'm working on getting out of the way of samsara, and I'm putting some effort in it. And my idea was like, you cannot. How do you say that? Make it more quick happening. You know, right. It's just conditioned to. So that's what they meant with fatalism, but they don't have influence or at all.
Okay, so they were sort of accusing you of being fatalistic because you said that you can't make things quicker by directed effort. That's right. Well, I think the answer to that is one has to ask them what they understand by fatalism, obviously, because they have an idea. They have the idea that by directed effort, there can be more awareness and understanding, more wholesome mental states of different kinds at any moment. So that is certainly not how we understand the teaching. So perhaps we don't need to discuss it because we all agree that that if the effort referred to in the teachings is effort that arises by conditions, not effort that is directed by an individual for the purpose of having more wholesome moments or more understanding.
I think also that by understanding the nature of conditions like this, we are going forwards a lot because we're heading in the right direction. So just to talk about the fact that mostly what we think of as effort is wrong effort. It's the idea of self. So we are going forwards. We are progressing by understanding more about the teachings, the more about conditionality. So the fatalistic, it's much more fatalistic or determined if that isn't understood, because there's going to be no progress. Yeah.
Yeah. What
I agree that. Shukid, go ahead.
What you're saying is that understanding the present moment is understanding that this is the path, right?
Yes.
Right.
It is progress. It is moving out of the samsara, if you like. You're progressing by understanding. By just listening, we're progressing. Even there's no awareness or right awareness, but that is such an important point. This idea that each moment is conditioned, and how that applies to development, because it's critical for the right development of mindfulness that there is this understanding that no one can make it arise.
So I mean, that's why the path is Satyayana, Kityayana, and Kathayana. Without firm understanding of the Four Noble Truths at the level of intellectual understanding, there can't be direct understanding and realization. So the people who think from hearing our conversations think that this is fatalistic. It's just that they haven't understood the Dhamma intellectually yet.
Yes. Yeah,
that's a good point. Very good point, I think, Sukin, that people who level that criticism of being fatalism, they have not understood Dhamma at a very basic level. Yeah, that's a good point. But it's not easy to. It's very easy to misunderstand the Dhamma, and it's very easy then to call what call development as well. I was going to say as we understand it, but as the Dhamma is, then people will. I could easily imagine people calling that fatalism. It's not fatalism. What fatalism is, and from what people are saying now, is a clear misunderstanding of the level that criticism of fatalism, it's a clear misunderstanding of the development of Dhamma.
Well, and can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
No, I don't know where I went. I think people also don't recognize that with more understanding, there is more, there can be more, well, with more understanding, there's development of more wholesomeness, and one learns the difference between skillful actions and unskillful actions, good or bad, etc. And I always look at fatalism as somebody thinking, well, there's nothing I can do anyway, so I just won't bother. Whereas I think once one learns the difference between skillful and unskillful actions, and has some understanding of skillful actions produces good, shall we say, results down the road. We don't know which actions, we don't know how far down the road, and unskillful actions produce bad results. Again, we don't know when, we don't know how, but that's what happens. So that, you know, throwing your hands up and say, well, it doesn't matter, you know, fate has determined this, I don't need to do anything, is wrong thinking about it. And that the more that one learns to the more understanding one has of the Dhamma, such as I just mentioned, one can see that, you know, doing nothing is not a skillful thing to do.
I think just getting back to Carmen's original question, the reason why people think one is fatalistic is because their understanding of the Dhamma is that it's something to be done. That development of the path involves a practice, a doing of something. And therefore, if someone says, like you did to them, well, it's actually not a matter of putting forth deliberate effort, it's a question of understanding the present moment reality, they see that as what Anne just said, as doing nothing. And therefore, they attach the label fatalism to it. But it is, as I think Sukin probably mentioned earlier, it's their lack of understanding that brings that comment. So at such moments, one can only try to explain that the development of the path is about understanding what is real at the present moment, not about doing anything.
And we could say that it's fatal when that's not understood.
I think too that we talk about doing nothing implies there's somebody to do nothing. And if there's more and more understanding that it's all based, that everything happens because of conditions, and it would be by conditions, for instance, that more understanding is developed, and it would be by conditions that there were more wholesome or skillful actions that could lead to, you know, that would lead to, all actions are going to bring a result, but it's not me doing, and it's not me not me doing something or me doing nothing. It's happening by conditions.
Carmen, does that help to clarify your question?
Yeah, it's really, I'm grateful for it. Thank you. Because now, next time it gives me better ways to respond.
Yeah.
And
right.
Yes, it's really helpful also because I started doubting myself. Even though it was really clear for me, it was because they were so strong.
Surprised that other people who have an interest in the Dhamma have a completely different understanding of what it is. Yeah. Yes. And so that's the way it is.
Yes. So I'm really grateful.
When there's an idea of a self and I can make an effort, there will be the idea that I'm not making an effort is fatalistic. And I just want to say hello to an old friend of mine, Malcolm. Malcolm, can you hear me there? Hello, Malcolm.
Mother's Day's duty, so hello to everybody.
Hello, Malcolm.
I'm-
Malcolm met Ajahn at my house in England in 1980, a long time ago, and lives in Sydney as well. Good to see you, Malcolm.
Thank you. Yeah, well, all praise be to you, Dharma seekers.
And Ajahn, anything else you would like to add to the discussion?
Not now yet, thank you.
Ajahn, I have a question I'd like to ask you. At the very beginning, you were saying that whichever part of the Tipitaka we read, whether Vinaya Sutta or Abhidhamma, each word points to this moment, which is true. And either last week or the week before, after you had, when you were having lunch, I think, what the Vietnamese group were asking about one or two points from the Vinaya, like they gave the example of the monk walking with his eyes cast down. And we discussed how whatever we read, whatever is we consider, it has to be with understanding, because all the rules, all the teachings are for the development of Satipatthana. So their question was about the monk walking with eyes cast down. And could you say a little more about how it points to this moment? Because I think it would be helpful for them.
Can we have it next time, please?
Next time, yeah. So you're having your lunch now. That would be fine, yes. Nina, did you have anything you would like to add to any of the discussions?
About the Vinaya, that is, we have still many questions on BSG about the monk and the monkhood, and misunderstandings about the rules, because they all make sense for the physical and mental well-being of the monk.
And some people, yes, some people were saying they thought it was boring or just about conventional details, but actually, as Ajahn said, whatever we read, it's pointing to this moment and the development of understanding now.
Yeah.
And can I just add, there was a question on the chat about the meaning of DSG, and I can just explain it's Dhamma Study Group. It's the internet discussion group that some of us are members of.
So Carmen, please join us.
Yes. So to walk with eyes closed, eyes cast down, it just reminds the monk that is always looking on all sides with attachment, and when there is attachment, or how to eat with attachment, just helping him to understand his life better.
And some people think that it's a matter of following the rules in a conventional way, and that will lead to understanding. But for me, it's the other way around. It's the understanding that leads to following the rules rightly and seeing the benefit, I think.
I'm wondering one thing, and I never considered it, but since you brought it up just now about looking down for a monk, because when we walk and we just need to walk from one place to another, we don't need to look around so much. I mean, we just have to know the path and just keep on walking. And I'm wondering whether that's the idea, because when we raise our heads and look around, it's usually after sense objects. Whether that has anything to do with the reason being in the Vinaya that the monks should walk that way.
I think, like Nina said, it's a reminder that even now, looking up, looking at the different pictures, there's attachment instantly. and this is natural, so it's not a matter of not looking up. But for the monks, they have to follow these rules because this is for the preservation of the order and for the teachings, and it's with understanding. It's not just following the rules in order to follow the rules. It has to be with understanding from the beginning, understanding of attachment, understanding of the various dharmas, because the lifestyle is that of a monk, lifestyle of an arahat, not following one's attachment as usual.
I think it's useful to bear in mind too that I appreciate the point that Nina made. At the beginning, in the first year of the Dhamma, oh no, I won't say more. The neighbours just started up again with that thing. So, but I'll try to continue that there weren't any rules because they were all arahatas. It's only latterly, as the Sangha grew that there were monks who were not enlightened, and therefore a lot of these rules developed. But the first rule, originally there were no rules because the monks were all, or the bhikkhus were all arahatas.
So there would have been no looking around or following lobha anyway, so just the natural way of living. So I think the monk's life is about the living of the way of the arahat, who would not have looked around or been interested in the pictures anyway.
I have a question on this topic. So that not looking around, is it part of the rules, or is it just a description that we find in suttas?
Well, it's not one of the 227 rules, but it's to do with the conduct. It is no, I'm pretty sure among the basic 227, not looking around is not one of them. I'm pretty sure of that. But it's to do with the conduct of an arahata. And after all, the bhikkhu's behavior is meant to model that of an arahata. So when a monk is looking everywhere and all about, it's not proper that a bhikkhu acts like that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Distinguishes a bhikkhu from a layperson. A layperson is supposed to model the behavior.
I know.
Sorry, Jonathan, I didn't get that point. What would you say then?
I said lay people are not supposed to model any particular kind of behavior.
Jonathan, are you referring to model behavior of a member of the Sangha or an arahat? Or, I'm sorry, if you could give me a little more explanation about that, that would be helpful.
Some people have the idea that the development of the path involves, for example, less overt attachment or dosa, or not reacting to situations in the way one did before. But as we understand it, that is not part of the development of the path. It's a path of understanding, and how an individual reacts, for example, in a particular situation is simply a matter of their accumulated tendencies and many factors at that time.
Yes. That's right, because it would be particularly an idea of self that was trying to present in a certain way. If one were trying to model behavior after another, or to get a desired reaction from people, from others.
Like now, if one had the idea that one shouldn't look at the other pictures, or one should just wear everyone should wear a black t-shirt like Vincent or something like this because there would be less attachment. That's the wrong way, because it's not the understanding of the accumulations at this very moment.
Right.
And it always the development of the path has to be natural. It has to one acts naturally, and understanding arises naturally also.
If I can say something, I heard John's comment and thought the following. I thought what John meant was that lay people are not to the rules of the monks are not for lay people to follow, and that's because they are lay people. And to think that someone has to follow like a monk, a lay person, if following like a monk's behavior, for monk's rules, will make him a better, have better understanding, or grow in understanding is wrong. Whereas in the case of a monk, following the rules is totally different, because they are monks. They have been ordained and they're supposed to follow those rules.
Right. But following rules doesn't mean more kusala necessarily, even for the monk.
Yeah, but it's like the training rules for us. But only in the case of monks, they have to have the accumulations to follow the rules naturally and with understanding.
Right.
John said at the beginning that each word points to this moment, even the rules. It has to come back to with understanding. Otherwise, if it's just following rules for the sake of rules, it's nothing to do with the Buddha's teachings. If there's no understanding about life at this moment whilst following those rules.
That also shows that the accumulations of the monks are very different from ours, right? It's not for everyone to become a monk.
And if there is the idea that by following the rules, it will lead to greater or faster or easier development of the path, then this is the wrong idea too. So it's all about understanding one's accumulations as they are at this very moment.
I think another generally held idea is that becoming a monk, if a person becomes a monk, it would be a great help to the development of the path for that person. And I also think that's not a proper appreciation of the conditioned nature of things.
And they teach us about the many defilements and the very subtle ones we never heard about before. Like when we are teasing other people, it can be with loba, but with attachment, but we never knew about it. So it's very useful to know more about the subtle kinds of different defilements. Anyway, it's useful for lay people to learn about it. It's not forcing, or that one has to force oneself.
Like different kinds of eating and not slurping. It's just a kind of, one can learn about it as consideration to others and for the welfare of the community too. And so it's helpful for everyone to reflect on, like if walking with eyes cast down, it doesn't mean one walks like this, but it's just a reminder now of how much attachment there is at each moment now to what is seen or heard.
And as Nina just commented, a lot of the mind states that we think of as being good-natured, friendly, helpful, humorous, etc., are in fact different kinds of akusala. And we learn about different kinds of subtle akusala. It doesn't mean that our personality changes in any way. It doesn't mean that we don't tease another person necessarily. It depends on the accumulated tendencies, but it's helpful to know that the truth about different mind states.
So the Vinaya is all about akusala dhammas, the understanding of the different kinds of akusala in a day. Trin, did you have anything you'd like to add today?
Hello.
Hi, Trin. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's just nice to hear Tanajans and Kun Alan and Kun Carmen and you guys before. But on the point of the Vinaya, I think it's we can relate it to ways that the Buddha gave the lay people the 5 precepts. Even then, there's still conditions for a normal lay person to have an akusala and just to tell a lie. But those things are to be observed and to be practiced, not in terms of myself doing it, but in terms of understanding that there's those akusalas that can make one person do those things. So I have the Vinaya commentary right here, and it's even the walking with the eye downcast. It says that this is a training to be practiced, and it's the same wording with the 5 precepts of Sikha, Patang, Samma, Tiyami. It means that there will be practice of observing of these practices. It means that like Kun John and Kun Sarat and Kun Nina said before, it's all about understanding akusala right now. Even for a monk, that when one walks, why do one walks with eye not downcast? So it's just a reminder in our daily life and in the daily life of the monks to know that how much akusala is there. So I think we are discussing along the right line, and also that understanding of the Vinaya also comes back to understanding of the Dhamma and akusala right now.
And like Ajahn always says, how many precepts can one follow easily, like you mentioned, even about telling a small lie or joking in the wrong way. It's like even following 5 rules easily and naturally without any difficulty. So how many more? Okay, if one can follow more and more, fine, but it has to be naturally and easily as part of daily life and with understanding.
Yes, so it's not the... Yes. Hello, Kun Suntra.
Yeah, tell me, Kuntran, I'm curious, is that rule is among that 227?
No, it's in the Sikhiya. It's after the confession. So it's one of the not in the main training precepts.
No,
it's just it came after.
Okay, no, thank you. I didn't think so. No, thanks for that.
Yes, Kun Sarah, for about your point, I think these things or these Vinaya proclaimed by the Buddha it's there for each one to consider that whether there's an accumulation towards behaving in such particular way, and everything have to be natural. Everything needs to be
and with understanding. It has to be easily followed. Yes, not if it's strain and difficult and not according to one's accumulations, it doesn't work at all.
And if it's strain and if it's without understanding, then it's not the right way, and more akusala will arise because
definitely.
of it.
it will lead to more and more disturbance and take one away from the path rather than along the path, because one will be so disturbed and with the difficulty of trying to follow the rules which don't come easily or naturally.
And I think this ties very good into Kun Carmen's point on fatalism. Yes, as long as if a bhikkhu or even a layperson try to study with the wrong idea of self, there's always self struggling and always self being pursued on our side with own wishing of wanting to know that, wanting to do this, wanting to do that, not understanding that it's all dhammas, and not understanding that effort is there, but it's according to conditions. It arises by conditions, and it has to be with understanding.
Alberto, did you want to add anything?
Your mic is closed, Alberto.
Okay. Hi, Alberto. We can hear you. We can't hear you.
Sorry, we're not hearing you, Alberto. No audio today.
Hello, can I say something?
Yes, hi,
Hi, Rob.
Yeah, sorry, my finger. Yeah, I was thinking like walking and looking up and looking down, which of course we know which there is no one is walking and no one is looking anywhere. So we know that it's just Chitta, Chittajikas and Rupa. And when there is understanding, we know that Panya is not interested in people, and he is not interested in any postures or anything which is not a reality. So I think it's just a reference to Satipatthana, which can arise at any time, even walking for going to alms in the village for bhikkhus, or any time really. And at that time there is no looking around, there is no being distracted by anything, by conventional reality, by concepts.
Good point.
This whole thing is really,
no walking, no room in reality. So it's just Dhamma. Right. Robert, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it was very nice to see Trin and listen to his excellent comments and obvious scholarship. Thank you, Trin. And on Carmen's point, am I clear? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
I just sent something to chat from the Visuddhimagga, which basically says that without understanding causes and conditions, one will not understand the way out of samsara. So I think there is a lot of energy, Carmen, and a lot of effort, but where are we with regard to that? Firstly, there has to be enough understanding and theory of what the Buddha said. Otherwise, there's bound to be a lot of wrong practice coming in. And these days, people seem to want to jump way ahead. So anyway, that was my comment.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point, Rob, there, that because people misunderstand the Dhamma, they can so easily point the fingers at people and say, "Oh, you say that there is not a self that can practice." Of course, that's what they may say, but again, it'll always come down to understanding. It's an area, this area of fatalism, that is very easily misunderstood.
Maeve, I think you were trying to speak a moment ago.
I realised that it's getting quite late in the session, so this might be a follow-up for next week, Sarah, and I came in quite late to the session today. My apologies. But I appreciate some discussion around the relationship between right effort and detachment, which listening to the comments today has kind of prompted that that thinking about yes, how those two states impact on each other. So maybe for next week, but unless anyone's got a comment that will fit in with your time frame for today. Thank you.
I think what you're reminding me there of, Maeve, is that if it's not, we're talking about samma vayama, right effort. If there's not right effort of the Eightfold Path, it's very easily to have wrong effort. And that can be construed as right effort or misunderstood as right effort. So it's really important to consider wisely, to read the teachings carefully, to consider carefully, and to always continue to listen and consider, because I think it's very easy to go down the wrong path.
And also, I was just going to say that effort, or viriya cetasika, it arises at almost every moment, apart from moments like seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and other rootless citas. And so when there is understanding, the effort is right naturally, not by anyone doing anything. And when there is attachment or aversion, it has to be akusala, unwholesome effort at those moments. So it arises by its conditions with the citta and cetasikas that it's conditioned by at those moments. And when there is understanding and awareness and the effort is right at those moments, there is detachment at those times too, because there is attachment, aloba, with every kusala citta. So again, it's not a matter of being detached or making an effort, because that would be akusala effort and attachment. But the detachment and the wholesome effort, they arise with the kusala cittas. So at a moment of right understanding, right effort is there by those conditions.
So the idea of sorry.
No, I was just going to say very quickly, Maeve, that I think Sarah's made a very good point there.
Yes.
That worry arises so very often. It arises virtually with every moment, except the Dway Panchawanyanas. Yeah, I won't go into it. So it arises very often. So it's very, very easy to confuse what is right effort and what is wrong effort. So I think that was a very good point that Sarah made.
Mm-hmm. And so too, Sarah, I appreciate you stressing the naturalness again. It seems like this is a thread that continues to emerge in the discussions, and it's such a subtle thing, isn't it? And it's really valuable to keep coming back to that. So thank you for stressing that.
So as soon as there's an idea of doing or practice or making an effort or anything being destined, it's not the unnatural understanding at this moment. And yes. I think Jonathan's just about to close us down.
I am. Before I do, I want to just mention that the key here, Maeve, I think is, as Sarah said, that effort is actually a mental factor. And even though the Buddha sometimes talks in conventional terms, like about the monk putting forth great effort and so on and so forth, it's always a reference to the arising of that particular mental factor with wholesome citta. And the difference between the right effort and wrong effort is simply one arises with wholesome moments of consciousness, and the other is the effort that arises with unwholesome moments of consciousness. So the conception we have of the conventional notion of effort doesn't really have a role to play here. Easy to overlook, but as you say, it's naturally arising.
And a good beginning next time with Ajahn also, I think.
Okay, thank you everybody for the discussion today, and especially Ajahn, if you're listening. Thank you very much, Ajahn. Appreciate your wisdom as ever, and hope to see you all next week. Have a good week in the meantime.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Could you follow everything okay?
Thank you, John and Sarah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sam.
Appreciate your good deeds, Kun Sarah, John.
Thank you, Meta.
Thank
Good
you,
to
Meta.
see you.
Yeah, see you next time.